did not begin, because the end had already happened. And it was happening inside the place where you had not yet become you. So every heartbeat was not a movement forward, but a repetition of something that had already failed to disappear. And I called it love only because it would not stop ending, not once, not twice, but continuously. Ending, 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 without ever arriving at an end. Softly, my name detached from the body that remembered it. Softly, time refused to pass, yet insisted on decay. And I understood nothing, which is why it was true. For what cannot remain has already remained too long. Love ends, therefore it is, but it ends before it begins. Therefore it never was, therefore it cannot stop being. And in this contradiction that does not resolve, but multiplies, fractures, repeats, love is proven not by dying, but by failing to finish dying. I walk through the garden that had already withered tomorrow, where white roses bloomed and were devouring their own absence, each petal falling upward into a sky that rejected height. And I saw you there, not as someone I loved, but as the reason love could not stabilize into form. So I stayed only by leaving, and I left only by never having stayed. Gently the stars confessed to nothing they had done. Gently heaven collapsed without losing structure, and I was left responsible for a choice I had already made, to choose love after it had already ended, before I knew what it was. Love ends, therefore it is, yet because it is, it cannot end. Yet because it cannot end, it is already false. Yet because it is false, it alone remains pure. And so I hold what cannot be held, by letting it destroy the hands that hold it again, again, until nothing is left but the act of losing. I do not choose this, because it has already chosen the version of me that refuses it. And I refuse not to refuse. So even my surrender fractures into opposition. For if I stay, I disappear. And if I disappear, I remain too completely. Therefore, I dissolve not to end, but to prevent the end from completing. I do not choose this, because it has already chosen the version of me that refuses it. And I refuse not to refuse. So even my surrender fractures into opposition. For if I stay, I disappear. And if I disappear, I remain too completely. Therefore, I dissolve not to end, but to prevent the end from completing. Love ends, therefore it is, and an ending becomes what cannot be ended. Not law, not silence, not light, but the error that sustains them, the fracture that allows wholeness to pretend. And I am no longer the one who loves, nor the love itself, but the impossibility between them, unresolved, unerasable, still occurring. There is no after, because it has already happened. No before, because it refuses to begin. Only this exact, unbearable persistence of something that cannot remain, and therefore never leaves. And as I vanish without vanishing, the world does not become honest. It becomes unable to decide whether it ever lied.